Now we're going to stick with energy. According to an environmental blogger, our next guest appears to be the next darling spokesperson for the energy industry. We're going to New York to find out if he's comfortable playing such a role. Joining us from the NASDAQ is Chris Faulkner, CEO of Breitling Energy, a Dallas headquartered oil and gas company. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Do you want to be, was that tongue-in-cheek, being a darling spokesperson from an environmental group, given your focus on fracking?
Well, I mean, I guess it could be. I mean, I've been an outspoken advocate for our industry. I've also said the industry could do more to educate the public on the safety that we're taking around fracking, because a lot of this is an educational process. The environmental groups have done a great job educating the public in their vantage point. The industry could continue to do more to educate the folks from our vantage point, and I've taken it upon myself to do that, and I hope others will follow.
I've seen a number of interesting graphs over the last 24 hours showing, this was just for the Eagle Ford, this huge upswing in production from that part of the world, fracked oil. Is the discussion about the size of the reserves and the level of production that we can get from these resources, has it been inflated? There are some people saying that yes, it has, and maybe in fact that bubble's already burst.
I don't think the bubble has burst. I don't think it's been inflated. I think we're very early days still in this U.S. Shale oil and tight gas boom. I think that when you look at numbers like in the Bakken Shale, over the last 3 years, the EIA has actually increased the reserves by a factor of about 100%, from about 3.5 to 7.2 billion barrels. Now, we've seen the Eagle Ford Shale coming on very, very strong. The numbers in the United States now producing over 8.5 million barrels of oil every single day. That's up 20% just in last year alone. So I don't think that we've plateaued. I don't think we've peaked. And I don't think we're going to see a decline. I think it's going to be the opposite effect. The United States will continue to increase its production. It will surpass Saudi Arabia by the end of this year or the first of next year at 9.5 million barrels and be the biggest oil producer on the planet. How long will that last? I think that's the unknown. Can we sustain this for long periods of time? I think through the end of the decade, the answer is absolutely yes.
The Guardian, the British newspaper, has a report out saying that, I believe it's next month, the EIA will have a new analysis, new reserve numbers, quoting from The Guardian, that will deal a death blow to industry hype about the dream of U.S. energy independence. What are they talking about, and do you agree with that death blow?
I don't agree with it at all, and I have a lot of friends at the EIA, and the reports and the numbers we've seen, the early release numbers, don't show that at all. The Guardian's been very aggressive against fracking. They've been very aggressive against the United Kingdom's ability to be able to produce shale gas for the betterment of UK and all of Europe as a whole. They've been a very, very big enemy, I think, toward the industry, and they're hoping that they can propagate anything they can to wane the interest. It's pretty big right now in the UK. You've seen David Cameron come out and say, look, we like fracking, we're going to frack for shale gas. It concerns a lot of folks in the United Kingdom, and I think they're trying to put together any kind of platform they can to deter people's interest and to shift the media attention away from a lot of the positive aspects of what it can do for the UK, especially in the shadows right now of the Ukrainian situation.
And that's what I wanted to shift to. What are your thoughts post the election and maybe some rapprochement, if I can use that word, between Ukraine and Russia? I guess it's early days, the impact on oil prices generally.
Well, look, the new president said he likes the ties with Europe. Okay, so he also wants to work things out with Russia. He seems to be sort of a moderate or middle of the road, trying to make everybody happy. Is that obtainable? I don't know. I think the reality is that Putin's been very aggressive. He's continuing to be aggressive. As soon as the president was elected, we saw combat in fighter jets dealing with issues there at the airport with fighters from Russia and in other areas. So I think that Europe is in a serious situation. They could have the gas turned off on them like we saw twice in the last decade. We've seen the price of natural gas go up. If the supply is interrupted to Europe, the supplies cost will skyrocket. We can see gas going now at $11 a 1,000 cubic foot, easily hitting $15 or $20. Will that impact the United States? No. Natural gas is the only commodity that's priced based on where it's sold. So gas here is $4.50 a 1,000 cubic foot. It's almost triple in Europe and quadruple in Asia. But I think Europe is the one that stands to lose the most if Putin continues to be aggressive with the Ukraine. And keep in mind, they can't pay the gas bill they currently have. He's also said he wants them to prepay for natural gas going forward. They can't afford to do that either. So a quarter of all of the gas to Europe goes to the Ukraine. What's going to happen if that gas gets shut off? The United States, hopefully, I wish we were already exporting LNG right now. We could be a benefactor of that situation. Also exporting crude oil, which we can't do today. We could also be a benefactor to help out with situations like the Ukraine. But if I was in Europe, I'd be a bit concerned because right now the United Kingdom, for example, only has 14 days worth of natural gas in storage. 14 days. That isn't a lot to deal with a crisis like what Putin's engineering over there.
Chris, that story is not over yet. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Chris Faulkner is CEO at Breitling Energy, and he was in New York. He's often in Texas.